Peace, family. Like I say, this governing body that we have over us right now, there's no way they should be the leading story in newspapers every single day. You can't even turn on your phone, pick up a paper without hearing about something stupid that Donald Trump and his administration has either done, did, or planning on doing. Now they're talking about this chat box that his Secretary of Defense and Secretary of Intelligence has created to discuss an upcoming military strike on a foreign country. And somehow these clowns inadvertently invited a reporter into the chat box. Nobody recognized this guy. Nobody questioned who he was. This guy just sitting in here listening and watching all these conversations about targets, areas, weaponry. They're naming CIA agents that's undercover, dates, everything. And at first, the reporter was saying the reason why he didn't leave but the reason why he didn't report it initially because he thought he was being spoofed. He thought that this was part of some type of misinformation. But as the conversation went on and on, after a while, he said, maybe this is not a place for him to be at, and he left. And then at the dates that was talked about in the chat, when the strike actually took place, at the time that was mentioned, the target and everything, that's when the reporter knew that this was actually a real deal. And somehow somebody put him in this chat box and could have jeopardized this mission. And when he reported that, everybody in the chat denied any knowledge of this. Then when they had him, the very next day, they had these people in court question him about it. Pete Hegseth, he was saying that absolutely not. Nobody talked about no confidential information, period. Tulsi Gabbard denied having anything to do with it. When they asked her, was you in this chat box? Were you using your private phone or your public phone? She didn't want to discuss that. They're asking these people, and question after question, they denied, they're attacking the credibility of the reporter, saying that he's a clown. All he does is pass out misinformation. They're discrediting the paper that he worked for. But the thing is, the one question that they did not ask was, where were the Negroes? Who do you blame for putting this reporter in the chat box in the first place? Because the only brown person in there was Marco Rubio, and I don't believe he was part of this chat. But you had 9, 10 other white people there. And see, this is the governing body that Donald Trump said he wanted. He wanted a DEI system. He wanted people to reach these accomplishments based on their own merit. But then when it comes to standing up and taking accountability for your actions, nobody in there had the integrity to do that. Nobody had a Negro in the room that you could blame for putting this reporter in there, for not recognizing he was. And see, this is why you white people, this is why you need Negroes. Because to cover up for your stupidity. Because see, when you confront it with your own inaction, you look like fools because you ain't got nobody else to blame but yourselves. You know, I look at it like making a cake. When you put the flour in the sifter and you shake it up and the flour comes out and all the impurities stay in the net, then you can be comfortable making your cake. You know it's going to come out better because you got these impurities out. This governing body is the exact opposite of that. When you put the characteristics necessary to be a leader, all the small little characteristics that you don't want in your leaders, the childish behavior, the immaturity, the stubbornness, the foolish, and the qualities that it take that you want in a leader: competence, confidence, consistency, pride, compassion, sympathy, empathy. You take all these qualities and you throw them out. And you make a cake with everything, with all the impurities. And then you wonder why it doesn't taste right. Even during this trial, the reporter who you were disparaging, calling them all out of his name, after the strike took place, at the time, date, and everything that was in the chat, he released the screenshots of the conversation. And you could see who was all in there. Everything that you denied knowing was right there. These people still denying the truth. You don't even have enough integrity to admit when you're wrong. You don't even got enough integrity to at least apologize to the reporter for disparaging his name and his reputation. And if you ain't got enough integrity to do that, you definitely don't have enough integrity to resign your position. Because, see, your actions put people's lives at risk. Had this information gotten out, because it was days before this event took place, if this information had gotten out to the target that you was headed to, they would have had time to prepare. And people would have been unalive behind it. You know, and see, and Gabby, Tulsi Gabbard, you talking about when the reporter released the screenshot and said that you wasn't part of that particular type of conversation, that's no excuse. Because you are the Secretary of Intelligence. Whatever decision that was made before this strike took place, you took part of it. So if you wasn't in that particular chat box, using the conversation and the names, the dates, the weaponry, the CIA agents, everything that was in that chat, you had prior knowledge to, whether you was in that conversation or not. When you, I mean, you have to realize when you elect a person like Donald Trump as president, the most unintelligent person on the planet, the most childish person on the planet, and you look up to this guy, now he brings in other people that has characteristics similar to his. And look what kind of system you have now. You know, for this to happen, and nobody wants to take accountability for their actions. Nobody wants to resign their commission because and like I said, this is all within the first 90 days of this governing body. These people took these positions knowing full well they were not equipped for prime time. And people's lives are at risk. They don't have enough integrity, they don't have enough compassion, they don't have enough sympathy, knowing that they're not qualified to make the decisions. And people's lives are at risk. If these people that's in our governing body, if they won't quit, if they won't resign their position, then it's up to us to fire them. And we fire them by creating our own governing body with people of moral character, intelligence, confidence, and can create a consistent environment that will bring about prosperity. None of these people in Washington, left or right, is capable of doing it. The Republicans that will talk a good talk, but when it comes to putting the rubber to the road, they deliver nothing. And the Democrats can sit there and watch this nonsense, but they don't got the backbone to stand up for what's right and tell the people, you know what, just give up. This system has failed. Somebody to make the announcement. This American experiment should be over. When you got the president, the secretary of defense, the secretary of intelligence, and nobody has no honor, nobody has no integrity, nobody wants to accept accountability, nobody's willing to fall on the sword and take the blame. But like I say, until we create an alternative, this is what we're going to be stuck with, because these people, they're just not going to, they are going to ride this thing out until everybody is gone. And it's just sad.